Oh, Mrs. Garcia, how do you balance it all? You're a school counselor and new homeowner, a mother of two, and grad student. You're an Ander. At National University, we see the whole you. That's why we're dedicated to your professional growth through faculty mentorships and career support, so you can focus on what matters most. National University, supporting the whole you. Learn more at nu.edu.
This is Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Sunday edition of Ready, Set, Bet here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Matt Brown, Mike Somich coming to you here on YouTube TV, channel 158 over on Sirius XM, our very own app as well, and of course terrestrial stations across this great country of ours. Mike, we have a ton to talk about today. 4 different guests that will join us to talk everything from college basketball to Major League Baseball. You're going to talk some hockey. You're going to talk some horses. We'll find out if our horses ran fast yesterday or not. There's all kinds of goodness coming here over the next 3 hours.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover from yesterday's action, including setting up the championship game here in college hoops. We got a lot to talk about with the Kentucky Derby Trail. Journalism looked awesome yesterday. Clearly going to be our favorite as long as he makes it to the gate there in Kentucky in the first Saturday in May. And we've got a full slate of the NBA, full slate of baseball, full slate of hockey, and Ovechkin currently chasing the record in Long Island right now against the Islanders.
Yes, we will see how that all plays out. Of course, could maybe get it at home in the next game. Not saying that there's any shenanigans going on there, Mike, or anything. But,
well, from a betting perspective, you saw the no get hammered at Circa there, specifically down to minus 130 for him not to score. I'm hoping he doesn't score because I want to go in. I want to take his shot prop when he goes back home because I do expect he's going to absolutely fire the puck. We saw it after he got two nights ago that he decided he wanted to shoot some more late in that third period. I think he does the same thing if he doesn't break it today. So maybe we can get a nice little betting angle here if we are unable to get a goal today.
The elephant in the room that we didn't talk about yesterday, if people do have the VSiN Watch app or are watching us on YouTube TV, is we've gone full beard and mustache. We've gone like the full on beard mustache look here. Yeah, you're gone for a week, you come back and you decided, okay, I'm going to switch the look up.
Look, I'm in vacation mode still.
All right.
Next week, we'll be back in the studio. I'll be clean shaven, get the haircut, the whole deal. Be anti-vacation, Mike. We're back to work already this weekend. Obviously, a ton of picks yesterday, a ton of picks today. But we'll clean it up a little bit when we get back in the studio next week.
Hey, let's leave vacation Mike for like another month and see what happens. Let's see that beard. Let's see what you can get going right there. I mean, honestly, the only reason I bring it up, I'm a little envious because you could give me 2 years and I couldn't get anything even close as full as that. So yeah, I mean, listen, the fact that you're gone for 2 weeks, next thing you know, you come up with all this glorious beard thing. I'm a little jealous, man.
Well, I'll be honest. Look, the wife likes the vacation beard. She likes the long hair. So it makes it hard sometimes to get rid of both of them.
Nick Shlain will join us, talk some baseball. Noops Christensen will join us to talk all things out there. Of course, basketball as well. Adam Zadroik, bracketologist, going to join us. Connor Mack going to join us as well. So we are loaded here on the show for sure. So, Mike, let's get right into it. And, of course, we'll start with the one that honestly everybody would have been talking about if things had not gone the way that they went in the final couple minutes of the second game. But instead, Florida does outlast Auburn there. We cashed that -2.5 ticket over there on that one. And I'm not going to say for sure that the questions that we had heading into that game played out. I can say, though, that Janai Broome certainly started out very hot and very strong and did look like he faded down the stretch. I don't know if that was because they were just resting him all week and he didn't have, that cardio leading into this one. I don't know exactly what it was, but again, started off very, very strong, faded down the stretch. Obviously, that hurts a team like Auburn when your best player is not playing well and the best player on the other side is going absolutely nuclear, which is what we saw in this one on the Florida side, Mike. And here they are moving on into the national championship.
Yeah, very fun first game. We saw Auburn go out, put 46 points up in the first half. The Florida defense and the Florida defense got better in the second half. The Auburn offense regressed a little bit there. You mentioned Broome, just 3 points after the break. They only had 12 points in the first 12 minutes of that second half. Not that I'm salty about my over not cashing or anything, Matt, after they put up 86 in the first half or whatever it was. But this was one of those games where you just saw that Florida defense ratchet up the intensity. We've seen it earlier in the year where they can go on these runs, and that's exactly what they did to kick off the second half. They were able to sustain that run for a long period. And Auburn got it going a little bit later, but it was just too late from the offensive perspective, especially with the way that Florida was able to shoot the ball.
Yeah, Walter Clayton Jr., 11 of 18 from the floor, 5 of 8 from downtown. He made all 7 of his free throws en route to 34 points in that game. And, Mike, sometimes a handicap plays out absolutely perfectly. We go into the game with the Florida -2 ticket. I still liked it. I liked Florida as it was anyway. Then we get the plus money on them. I mean, it just, sometimes in the betting world, we love to talk about our bad beats, and then sometimes things just play out and like you hear a symphony going in the background, and it was exactly what we wanted. Everything played out great. So that first result here was absolutely amazing. Over on the Auburn side of things, you can't even really look. I mean, they had 14 turnovers to Florida's 16 turnovers. It just looked like this Auburn team just kind of faded down the stretch. And maybe that has a lot to do with the pace that we talked about that Florida loves to play and how they like to get up and down the court. And they ran them and they ran them and they ran them. And then in clutch, in the time when Auburn needed it most, they just didn't have it in the tank.
Yeah, they struggled. The offensive side of the ball for Auburn looked so much harder than Florida when they were executing in the second half. And it looked easier for Auburn in the first half. So, yeah, maybe it was just a simple factor of getting gassed out by the time that we got later into this game. But it just looked easier for Florida. And you mentioned like the 3-pointers that they were able to hit. They were contested threes. They were just knocking shots down. You got to give Florida credit for that. And now you get to a matchup with a very interesting Houston team that wants to play a very different style here on Monday night than Florida would like to.
So like we said, this game would have been the game we talked about because it was a very exciting game. If you like college basketball, it was super fun. And it looked like we were heading towards a blowout in the evening contest where if you were following along on the Twitter machine, Mike, and I'm sure you were, it's over. Oh, put a fork in them. It's done. We're moving on. Oh, this is so boring. All these favorites keep winning. This is not what we want. Yada, 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 yada. And then 20 minutes later, oh, there were so many deletes happening out there in the Twitter land. Everybody eating their words because no, Houston comes back, wins the game by 3, ends up outscoring Duke 42-33 in the second half. But really, Mike, you look at the win percentage in this game halfway through the second half, we were as high as 96%. We were as high as 92% in the final 2 minutes of this one as well in favor of Duke. And you and I talked yesterday about the handicap, that this Houston team was made up of grown men, and the Duke team was made up of 3 guys. Yes, they are going to be lottery picks, but it was still 3 freshmen. It was also a guy that had reclassified, had just turned 18 in December, in Cooper Flagg, who, by the way, was amazing in this game. And it did to me look like when the real good decisions needed to be made, when how do we find a way to win this game, it looked like the Houston experience. It looked like the old dudes had it and Duke didn't. And that's kind of all I can really point to here in this one.
Well, there's a lot of talk about this Duke team heading into the tournament and the fact that they had not played a lot of close games. And would that affect them when you get into these situations where you're playing a very good team in a very close game? And it looked like it affected them last night. They were up 6 with the ball with 33 seconds left, Matt, and they lost this game somehow. I mean, that is a massive turnaround. And all the stats on the Twitter machine that are coming out talking about this game, the favorite one that I found was that Duke had a higher field goal percentage than Houston, more free throw attempts, fewer turnovers, more assists, more steals. They're the first team in 336 games to lose when winning all 5 of those categories. Teams prior to last night were 335-0. Duke now makes that stat 335-1.
You look here, Cooper Flagg, though, was amazing. 8 of 19 from the floor. Yes, he did miss the fadeaway there at the end of the game, but I mean, you can't make them all. He was 3 of 4 from downtown. He was 8 of 8 from the line. He had 7 boards. He had 4 assists. He had 2 steals. He had 3 blocks, Mike, to go along with only 1 turnover in the game. So your superstarred, but then you look and somehow Malawach had no rebounds. He had 0 rebounds. He had 0 rebounds in this game. 6 points and no boards. Again, I don't know how that happens. It's crazy to me. Kneppel was good. I mean, he was absolutely fine. You look at him, he didn't turn the ball over at all. 5 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 5 from downtown. He made all of his free throws as well. It just came the turnovers and the offensive rebounds as well on the Houston side of things to get those second and third chances were really what it came to. down the stretch here. And I know everyone's like, Duke melted. I don't know if it's necessarily as much of a melt as it was. Houston ratcheted up what they do best on the defensive side of the ball, added extra pressure in all of this. And then, only thing I think Duke did wrong, Mike, was it did look down the stretch like they were really trying to just kind of grind the clock out and melt the clock out instead of just running their offense that had been working so incredibly well up to that point. And I think if I really wanted to point to anything, that might be the only thing where I say, okay, they did get a little bit out of sorts where it looked like they were more worried about running that shot clock down than they were just about going and putting the ball in the bucket, which had worked for them so well.
Yeah, to me, this is, it's unfortunate this is the storyline out of this game, the Duke meltdown aspect of it. There was a turnover late, obviously, a missed front end of a 1-and-1. That happens in college basketball. I agree with you. It was the fact that they slowed this game down and didn't continue to push on the offensive end when they had these leads and didn't get the quality of shot later in the game that they were getting earlier in this game because of the late possession shots versus those mid to early possession shots. I would bet that Shire would want to take that back. That's one thing he would like to change about this game. But you got to give credit to Houston here. I mean, when they needed it, absolutely needed it, they were able to ratchet up the defensive intensity, able to get Duke to turn the ball over, and able to make shots. Like, they had to hit shots down the stretch as well to make this comeback possible.
So, I don't know if you guys got the VSiN newsletter this morning. I don't know if you do, if you get it or not. I don't know if you guys get it. You should. It's free. You just go in, you sign up.
It is free.
Stuff. You just shows in your inbox. So, yeah, the 2-0 locked it up, Mike. I win the contest. And so the game theory did play out. Fortunately, too, that number never hit 4. So it saved me some real life money as well. So I didn't come in on Duke. And then I play the strategy of zigging and zagging and playing some defense and whatever. And 2-0 in the VSiN contest and all that. So basically what happens now is Jensen Lewis is 10 points behind me. And I guess the championship game is worth 10 points. So at worst, I can tie with Jensen. I don't want to tie. I want to win. So I'm just going to listen to who he's taking on Monday, and then I'm just going to play the same thing. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just watch some Jensen Lewis content.
Yeah.
You got the inside lane here because you're not on a Monday.
Unfortunately, he's going to have to talk about it on Monday before. Yeah. So I'm sorry, buddy. That's what I'm going to do. You're getting blocked. That's all there is to it. I'm winning this puppy. Major League Baseball when we come back.
Oh, Mrs. Garcia, how do you balance it all? You're a school counselor and new homeowner, a mother of 2, and grad student. You're an ander. At National University, we see the whole you. That's why we're dedicated to your professional growth through faculty mentorships and career support, so you can focus on what matters most. National University, supporting the whole you. Learn more at nu.edu.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Ready, Set, Bet here on VSiN on a Sunday. Matt Brown, Mike Somich. Plenty of college basketball talk to continue with on here. We've got to get into Major League Baseball because we got a lot of first pitches coming here, Mike, really, really shortly. We got game 1 of Cardinals and Red Sox. We've got the Diamondbacks and Nationals, Dodgers and Phillies, Marlins and Braves, Yankees and Pirates. We got all kinds of stuff going on here in this one. We'll start out with the D-backs and Nationals, which is going to be a first pitch in about 20 minutes or so. And you are going to come in on the old Diamondbacks.
I just can't quit them. Quit them. Lost yesterday, 4-3. Got caught stealing to end the game. You never love that, especially when you try and get in scoring position there. But yeah, give me Corbin Burns and the Diamondbacks today, first 5. You can get him minus 120. Again, I think this is just a better Diamondbacks team than Nationals team. Now you have an advantage on the mound today as well. Trevor Williams going to be on the mound for the Nationals. If you want to look at the home run props, Suarez for the Diamondbacks has 5 on the year. He's got 4 against Williams. He's plus 330 out there in the market. But like the Diamondbacks, minus a half run, minus 120, first 5, quite a bit here, Matt.
Yeah, then we got the Dodgers and the Phillies, a game that I'll have on here in the studio as this one looks to be. I am very, very interested in Glasnow versus Christopher Sanchez here in this one. Christopher Sanchez, a guy that I was pretty high on coming into this season. I think if you look at his underlying numbers and what he brings to the table, I think he got kind of like, I'm not going to say number 1 upside, Mike, but I will say he might be like a number 2 upside type of guy. This is a flat 7 at DraftKings. You can find 7.5s out there in the market as well. The over juiced heavily on that flat 7. Minus 130 for the Dodgers on the road against this Phillies team at plus 110. I played the Phillies. I think when you kind of look at this, the way that it breaks down, Mike, I mean, player for player, right now, I mean, this Phillies lineup, as long as they're healthy and they're rolling everybody out, you're down Freeman in the Dodgers lineup. It's still a really, really good lineup, but you're still down Freeman in that Dodgers lineup. There's not a massive difference between the Dodgers and the Phillies here. I'm getting plus money on the home team and a starting pitcher that, again, Glasnow's ceiling, we know definitely is number one type ace type material, but we have not seen that on a consistent basis from Glasnow at all. And again, I'm getting some really, really big bats in there from the Phillies. I'll take the plus money here on Philadelphia at home.
Yeah, I don't hate the look, especially since Glasnow probably not going to go as deep in this game as Sanchez will, if both pitch well in this spot. If you are looking toward the under, I like the first 5 under if you can find a 4 out there. It's either going to be 3.5 or 4 at most books. I want to, again, focus on these two starting pitchers, which I do think have a good chance of shutting down this lineup. You mentioned Sanchez and the buzz around him. He's getting buzz in the Cy Young market as well. He's not the only Philly. We talked about our boy Jesus Luzardo before, Matt. He's starting to get some buzz out there as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to point this out as I was starting to look around. I mean, so if you guys have followed prospects for a while, you've heard the name Jesus Luzardo. You know that once he got up to the bigs back in 2019, when he got called up, pitched a handful of innings there, but 2020 was really his first go at it. He's never really lived up to the hype, Mike, but we know that the stuff is there. He added a sweeper in the offseason like all these other guys have, and now we've got 2 starts under his belt where he's sub-1 whip. He's going out. He's got a 41% K rate. That's going to come back down. That's going to come down a little bit. Currently, a 41% K rate, but it has not increased his walk rate. So he's been able to strike dudes out and do it with this new pitch without increasing his walk rate, which we know is a little bit higher than we would like, but you kind of just going to have to deal with that like high 7s, low 8s walk rate with Jesus Luzardo. That's just kind of who he is. But still 45-1 out there. And we know, again, the pedigree's there. We know the stuff is there. He's got 2 really good starts under his belt. And by the way, if we get to a third start, this 45-1 is going to be 30, 25, 20 like it is everywhere else right now. There's still a rogue 45-1 over at DraftKings. And I got to admit, I don't hate the look.
Yeah, you're gonna be driving to Arizona here shortly to get both the DraftKings book and the 9-1 there in Shore Sanders' second overall pick once we get after the show here. Look, Luzardo, I think the organizational change has to be noted as well. He was in the Athletics farm system, comes up for the Athletics, goes to Florida. Look, the Marlins and the A's, they're not great. Just systems overall for players. Now you're in with the Phillies. That is a very good system. Not shocked that he started out the season hot. Yeah.
So again, that is over at DraftKings right now, kind of the rogue big number out there on him. Of note as well, Mike, coming through the Twitter machine, the Dodgers have put Blake Snell on the IL. Now, we talked about the depth for this team, but that was when Kershaw was back, when Shohei was back, and they're not in the rotation quite yet. And so we didn't think the depth was really going to need to come into play until a little bit later, but here we are, Blake Snell going to the IL for this Dodgers squad.
Yeah, not great. Not great for a Dodgers team, which would, again, you mentioned it, has the depth, but Ohtani's not pitching yet. You don't have Kershaw back yet. Losing Freeman's not great, but you have the bats to be able to replace him. Right now, that rotation's not as deep as it will be when everyone's healthy. And so it's not great timing here for Snell going over to the IL. Not shocked, to be honest, after that last start where he got beat up pretty good.
Couple of other games will be going. I don't have an opinion on the Yankees and the Pirates. This is Will Warren versus Andrew Heaney. The Yankees are big favorites on the road. It's minus 166, plus 140 on the Pirates at home there. 8.5 is the total. Yankees should win, but it's Will Warren on the road, minus 166. Nothing I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I think this game's priced right around correct. So I did not end up playing this one at all. I would expect the Yankees to win, but again, I'm no interest at that minus 162 number.
So let's get to one that you do have some interest in here. We've got the Cardinals and the Red Sox game 1 here on doubleheader day. This is currently minus 125 for the Red Sox at home, plus 105 Cardinals on the road. We are sitting at a flat 9 on the total here in this one. Also of note for the Red Sox, Weiler Abreu not in the starting lineup here in game 1. Don't exactly know why that hasn't been said yet, but one of their better hitters to start off the season not going to be in there today against the Cardinals.
Yeah, a bummer losing him, but you got Sean Newcomb on the mound here for the Boston Red Sox, which means I'm playing some over. So give me the over 9 here. There's the positive hitting conditions. There may be a little early rain, but after that, it's expected to end up as a very good hitters environment here in Boston today. Palante doesn't exactly scare me with this Boston lineup facing him, so I like the over 9 here. And I think you got to look at Nolan Arenado as well. He is 7 for 15 against Sean Newcomb with 2 home runs. So I took him over 1.5 bases. That's plus 110. Also took him to hit a home run at 6-1 in this spot. So for me, this is an over game. I'm looking at players that I think can specifically perform. That's Nolan Arenado, and it's the over 9 here for me.
White Sox and the Tigers. This is Martin Perez versus Jackson Jobe. This is plus 145. White Sox on the road as dogs. Minus 185. Tigers at home. 7.5 is your total. Mike, I did something I rarely do, but I'm getting the vibes here. This Tigers team is coming around. I really do like, obviously you like them a ton better than you like the White Sox lineup. And I think Jackson Jobe, as you guys well know, talked about him ad nauseum in the offseason, have the Rookie of the Year ticket and all that on him. I think that he is the real deal as well. I played the run line here with this Tigers squad. I really, really like the way that they look at the plate right now. I think they are rounding into form. And so don't want to lay the minus 185. I will take the plus money on the run line. I understand with a home team that takes away an at bat if they're in the lead. And I understand all of the stuff that comes along with that, which is also baked into the price, which is why we are getting as much plus money as we are on that in this kind of lopsided matchup. So I took the Tigers on the run line.
Yeah, I also did something that I rarely do. I put them in a money line parlay with the Diamondbacks. You can get plus 150 putting the Diamondbacks together with the Tigers here. I have a slight advantage to the Tigers here. I thought this should be about 10 cents higher than it is, but I don't want to lay that big number. The first half number is not attractive to me. So I've tried to find a way to create something that I thought was nice. I like that Diamondbacks matchup. I like this Tigers matchup. You put the two together, you get plus 150 on the money line.
Blue Jays and the Mets happening at 10:40 out here in the Pacific time zone. Bowden Francis versus David Peterson. Peterson and the Mets are minus 155 home favorites, plus 130. Jays and Francis on the road. A flat 7 is the total. You are going to go with the dog.
I'm going right back to the well here. We had the Jays first 5 yesterday. They cashed and lost the game. We're going Jays first 5 today as well. I like Bowden Francois on the mound. I think that you have an advantage in the starting pitching. I think it's about a push on the lineup side. You're getting plus 116 on the Jays here. So I'll take Blue Jays first 5 plus 116.
When we look here at this Orioles, Royals, Reds, Brewers, no real opinion from us on this. Of note, I will say Gunnar Henderson is back as of, a couple of games ago. He was 0 for 5 yesterday, hitting in the leadoff spot for the Orioles, but he is out there yet again today, so they're not kind of like treating him with kid gloves. On the Red side of things, you had a Matt McClain ticket yesterday. He was in the starting lineup, ends up getting scratched and then sitting again today, so not in that Reds lineup there against the Brewers. What are you looking at here, Astros and Twins?
Yeah, Astros Twins. We had We had Altuve to hit a home run yesterday. That cashed at a big number. I like him today as well. I didn't put him on the ticket, but if you want someone to hit a home run, Altuve again plus 888 was the highest number I found. I think he's live here against a Twin starter that's not very good. I like the Astros first 5. Advantage on the offensive side, advantage on the pitching mound. You can get minus 106 on the money line. Astros first 5. So give me some Astros action again today, Matt.
Guys, don't know if you've heard of Rhythm, but Rhythm is out there to help bettors bet in every single sport. You can't be good at every single sport, so you can put AI to work for you. Rhythm is an app that helps you build personalized betting models, analyze trends, and make sharper picks for every game. Whether you're a seasoned bettor looking for an edge, Rhythm has you covered with AI-backed projections and insights. Right now, you can get 50% off an annual core subscription with the promo code VSIN. That is VSIN, or 25% off your first month with promo code HOOPS25. Head over to rhythm.com today. That is RITHMM.com today.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Ready, Set, Bet here on VSIN on a Saturday. Matt Brown, Mike Somich coming to you as we relive what we saw last night a little bit, but try and figure out, hey, quick turnaround. Tomorrow is a national championship game. We got to figure out what we like in that game. Is there any bet to be made, or is it maybe we have to sit back and see what happens live there in the first few minutes? Of course, we will give you all of our thoughts there on that one throughout the course of the show. But Major League Baseball continues to roll on. Yes, it's only a small sample size so far, but I think we're starting to figure some stuff out here, at least a little bit, about some of these teams and some of these players. And here to give us his thoughts over from RotoWorld, Nick Shlain. You can find him over on the Twitter machine at Electric Snuff. Nick, how you doing, buddy? Appreciate the time.
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing great, man. So before we get into the picks that you have actually for today in all of this, I do want to just get your kind of worry meter, panic thoughts, if you will, on the Braves. I understand that we've only got a 9-game sample size, but you start 1-8, and then you just kind of look, and it's your shutout yesterday, a 1-run performance against the Dodgers, another 1-run performance against the Dodgers, your shutout against the Padres twice as well. Ronald Acuna doesn't look like he's coming back anytime in the next month or so. Spencer Strider, we're still waiting for him to get back in that lineup. What is your worry meter? What is your panic level here for the Braves?
I'm not so worried about the wins and losses so far. Obviously, it doesn't look great, their record. They played 2 really good teams to start the year. So I was very encouraged by the game Friday where they just blitzed the Marlins, but then yesterday was kind of a step back. So, I'm looking at, Profar 80-game suspension, Ronaldo Lopez might be out for the season. Those things are worry me more than how they've played so far. If they go out and win today, I think that's a good indicator. Everyone can relax a little bit. Austin Riley hasn't been hitting so well. I expect him to be fine. Expect Matt Olson and Ozuna to be fine. They'll get Strider back soon. I think he's been really good in the minor leagues so far, coming back from the injury. Acuna will come back at some point. I mean, having those 2 guys, that's like a Cy Young and an MVP, adding to that team. They're in a tough division, though. I mean, you can't sugarcoat what's going on. 1-8 is really bad, a really bad start when you're chasing the Mets and the Phillies. So, I think it would be about a 6. I'm not up there in the 9 or 10 range for how I'm panicking over the Braves so far.
And never good to be 5.5 back when you're only 9 games into the season. You're creating quite a hole that you have to dig yourself out of there. From one good division to another, the AL East has been as promised. The only team who's under 500 right now, the Baltimore Orioles, who are sitting at 4-5. So have the opportunity to get back to that benchmark today. The Yankees started off hot. They looked very good. We are both, Matt and I, we have Yankees to miss the playoffs tickets. And it's been an interesting start here for them at this point. Who do you like in this AL East, and do you think this is a Yankees team that will be able to continue this throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Yankees to get back to the World Series. So I think the Yankees are still the cream of the crop. I think the Red Sox are probably the second best team in the division. I think the Orioles, they had a lot of believers before the season, but, they really didn't do much with their pitching staff. I mean, Zach Eflin is their ace after losing Corbin Burns. Charlie Morton, he struck out 10 guys in his last game, but I believe they still lost to the Red Sox. So, I don't think Morton, is obviously past his prime now. He's 40 or 41 years old. I just wish they'd made some bigger ticket additions in the offseason. You lose Santander, you lose Corbin Burns. They have a lot of good young players, but now Colton Cowser breaks his thumb. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks here. They still have, Cedric Mullins is off to a really nice start. I like Westberg. I think Adley Rutschman is going to bounce back, have a good season. They got good news on Henderson. Henderson's back in the lineup already. So I still think the Orioles will make the playoffs, but I think the Yankees will win the division. And I think the Red Sox are better than the Orioles.
Nick, let's head to a game that you do have on your card today. This is 2:10 Eastern in the Astros and the Twins. This is Ronel Blanco versus Chris Paddock. Almost a coin flip there on the line, 105 to 115. 8.5 is our total. How are you looking to play this one?
Yeah, I like the Astros over 3.5 runs. You can get it around minus 145, 148, somewhere in that range. They're facing Chris Paddock, who I think is on his way out of the Minnesota rotation. I think he allowed 9 earned runs against the White Sox in his first start. I mean, people were surprised he even made the rotation over David Festa and Zebby Matthews to begin the season. So I don't think the Twins are going to have a lot of patience with guys like him and Simeon Woods Richardson if they're not getting off to good starts. And I don't think Paddock is getting off to a good start. I look at the Astros. They were only able to score 1 run yesterday against Bailey Ober, who got shelled in his first start. So the Astros definitely off to a slow start offensively, but I just think they're a good hitting team. You look at Yordan Alvarez, Isaac Paredes, who they acquired in the Kyle Tucker trade. Altuve hit a home run yesterday, you guys mentioned earlier. So I still think this is a good lineup. They have maybe the best hitting catcher in baseball, Yander Diaz. So I think this is a good lineup. It's a good matchup. 3.5 runs. I honestly expected it to be 4.5 runs. So I'm way over on the Astros. I think they win the game too. So, the Twins used Duran, their closer, in yesterday's game, which wasn't a save situation. They won 6-1, but so maybe he'll be a little tired if he has to be used at the end of the game. But yeah, I just think the Astros, they'll kind of they're due, and I think this is a good spot for their offense.
Yeah, I hope you're right here. I played Astros first 5, similar reasons. I think Paddock has a very high chance of getting shelled, and if he does, the minus 106 price on the Astros first 5, I think, is a fairly good number. Now, we talked about some good divisions. One of the bad divisions here, the AL Central, and the worst team in that division, the Chicago White Sox. But you like them today, Nick. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I just think the White Sox, they're in a good spot here. I just think the Tigers are being a little bit overvalued. They got swept by the Dodgers and they won 4 of their last 5, but that's against the Mariners and against the White Sox. You look at Martin Perez, he pitched well against the Twins. He shut them out for 6 innings in his first start. I think he had a no-hitter for going it for at least 5 innings in that game. So I looked at, he's got had a good first start. And then, the Tigers lineup without Riley Green today is looking a little thin to me. I mean, you got Manuel Margot is a mediocre hitter. He's batting cleanup. You look at Kerry Carpenter, he's in the lineup, but he is hitting 6th or 7th. They don't trust him as much against left-hand pitching. Spencer Torkelson's hitting 3rd. I mean, he's like the centerpiece of this lineup. If you would have told people before spring training, Spencer Torkelson would be the centerpiece of the Tigers lineup, I think people would be panicking. Colt Keith isn't in the lineup today. The Tigers like to use Andy Ibanez against left-hand pitching. People remember him from the playoffs. He had that big bases clearing double off of Josh Hader in the wild card round. But he's not an established, he hits left-hand pitching well, but I just think, Martin Perez will have a good start. And then you look at Jackson Jobe. I think Jackson Jobe is also being very, very overvalued. I think I would play, I have the White Sox every which way here. I have the run line, money line, first 5 innings. I think you can play Jackson Jobe under 4.5 strikeouts. I mean, he gave up 2 home runs to the Mariners. He's just not missing bats, how you would like to see from a guy who has, the stuff that he has great stuff. I'm not doubting his stuff, but I just don't, he struggled at AAA and he struggled in his first start, in Seattle. I don't know if you could have better matchups than in Seattle and then against the White Sox at home. And I just don't think you can trust him so far. I think he's just being a little overvalued, overhyped here.
He is Nick Shlain. You can find his work over at RotoWorld. Find him on the Twitter machine at Electric Snuff over there. Nick, appreciate it and good luck today.
All right. Good luck to you guys too. Thanks.
Chris Sanchez mowing down Shohei right there at the top. There we go. Let's get it done there, Mike. Guys, our VP Summer Special is happening right now through August the 1st for $59. You get everything we do over at VSiN Pro. So yes, not only to get the video feed of all of the shows, but you get every single article that we write over there, handicapping this sports world top to bottom, left and right. You're going to get the betting guides as well. We've got a couple of very big tentpole events that are coming up. You're going to want to take advantage of that. You also get the picks page, the splits page, and everything in between. VSiN.com/subscribe. $59 now through August the 1st. And Mike, it's like, go ahead and do it. It's $59. And then, you will have a nice sample size of deciding whether you want to join us for football season or not. And we think that you will.
Yeah, we definitely think you will. Great offer there with $59. You get all the action over the summer for sports that you may not care as much about. You get NBA and NHL playoff action as well. Of course, the Kentucky Derby included in there as well,
There you
Matt.
go. Look at that. By the way, that Marlins-Braves game did get postponed. So off the bat, too much rain. Not going to play that one. That one will be rescheduled. When we come back, let's look at some of these NFL draft position props.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Dodgers still good at baseball, so even when you strike out the two best players, the trouble is not done yet. So Chris Sanchez goes out, strikes out Shohei, strikes out Mookie, then gives up a 2-run homer to Teoscar Hernandez. So my Phillies bet not off to a great start. Your Diamondbacks bet, however, is as they are sitting there 1-0 in the first inning. You said a leadoff triple, and then Corbin Carroll got home after that.
Yep, good start for the Diamondbacks there. Nice to put up one early. I thought originally it was a Corbin Carroll home run. Don't have a home run prop. I thought we had the leadoff homer again in back-to-back days there, but ends up being a triple there. We'll see if we can get a better start here from Corbin Burnes than what we saw in his first time out.
Just to make sure we get all the thoughts in here before we get to the NFL draft stuff, the A's and the Rockies, that is at 3:10 Eastern. Mike, we got the over home on that last night thanks to the A's going out and putting a bunch of runs up on the board. How are you viewing this one today?
I am going to, look, I said I like the A's as a frisky team. I'm actually going to go against them today. I'm going to take the Rockies -0.5 run plus 117 here in the first 5. And it's a big time pitcher aspect for me here. So you got Estes on the mound for the A's, probably their worst pitcher. He was awful in the first game. He's not very good last year. And this is someone that I think you have to pay attention to as the season goes along here. And Chase Dollander, who's going to be on the mound for the Rockies. He was the number 14 prospect in the top 100 coming into this season. Very live arm, 23-year-old. I'm going to play him here in his first start and see if I can get an advantage where I think I do have a big time bat advantage here from a Rockies perspective. So we'll lay the half run first 5 with the Rockies and Chase Dollander here and see if we can get a plus 117 home.
Guys, we're talking a lot about the NFL draft, and mainly because this is the time that you really want to start making these bets, because once more information is known, some of these prices can absolutely just skyrocket. And so we want to at least walk through the thoughts that we have on some of these markets that are available out there. And what you can do is first player at X position drafted, Mike, and you go in, and at the wide receiver position, Ted McMillan is your favorite, at least at DraftKings at -185, where you're catching plus 150, Matthew Golden. Mecca Ibuka is at 13-1, Burden at 50-1. Burden's not going to be the first receiver taken. But if we look at this, we do know that some teams over the course of history have fallen in love with speed over everything else. Now, I like to think that you could look at the tape and realize that Ted McMillan, even though he only runs a 4.55, he's still 6'3" and 220 pounds. Yeah, you're not going to run the blazing number at that type of size. And hopefully you can just see that the size is the reason why that maybe you're going to get some really good success out of him in the NFL. But we've seen people go and get, go for speed and nothing else. The 4.29 from Matthew Golden at plus 150. I'm not so sure that he won't be the first receiver taken.
Yeah, I'm never betting T-Mac here at a minus number, sitting at the -185. So for me, it is Golden or pass. I don't think that you're going to see any other wide receiver be taken first outside of those two. So I don't have the plus 150 ticket in the account, but if I'm going to bet anything to this market, it would be Golden at plus 150 here because of the speed that you mentioned and the pedigree coming out of Texas. We've seen Texas wide receivers perform well.
Ovechkin gets it done, 895 goals. He is your new all-time goal scorer. So it did not happen at home, went ahead and he got it done, Mike. I know that there will still be a ton of celebrating going on elsewhere, but did not get it done at home.
Yeah, not at home. There was a lot of red in the crowd this morning, so a lot of Capitals fans made the trek up there to the New York greater area to get the opportunity to watch Ovechkin score the goal. And you got to give him credit here, Matt. I mean, he did this very quickly. He just put this away. Like we saw Gretzky really struggle to get that final goal to get past Gordie Howe. And Ovechkin does it here in the first game when he is on the cusp of being able to break the record after putting 2 in the net the previous game to get him to this point. So hats off to Alexander Ovechkin. Amazing 20-year career here. I mean, he was able to do this in 20 years. He's got 12 50-goal seasons. He scored at least 30 goals in every single season except for 2 of those. Both of those were shortened campaigns when he played less than 50 games as well. So in an era where it was harder to score goals than when Wayne Gretzky played, he did it in the same amount of games, and just a phenomenal job here to check the box of this record here right at the first opportunity to do so.
Yeah, you have young kids just dreaming of ever even playing in the NHL. The thought of scoring 1 goal would be the greatest life achievement that there ever is. And now 895 of them later for Alex Ovechkin, showing the celebration there on the ice. They, of course, paused the game and everything that's going on with all of that. So congrats to Alex and all of you that actually had tickets on this, because this was a bet that you could have made at the beginning of the season and even throughout the course of the season as well. I know our very own Stormy Bonantoni had that he would break it this year as well, so I'm sure she's doing some celebrating of her own. There in that wide receiver market, like I said, there's no consensus as to who is the number 1 guy there, Mike, and that's the other reason why I would feel very, very worried to lay the 185 with Tet McMillan. I'd rather play his over-under, and we'll talk about those a little bit later in the show. One of the ones I did want to talk about with you and what you think here. So the tight end market, Tyler Warren is minus 800 with Colston Loveland at 5-1. Now, I understand Tyler Warren, unbelievable collegiate player. Everybody thinks this is going to translate over to the NFL. But if there's only 2 dudes really in the running here, and you kind of need a specific fit for a tight end, right? Like we're not, I think what we've gotten now with Kyle Pitts doing what he did, Mike, I don't think we're getting any more of these tight ends like going inside the top 5 picks. Like you say, like you wasted on Kyle Pitts and now it's done so. So if we look at this, is there not a chance that Loveland, like depending on the team fit and what teams are going for, is there not a chance he could be the first tight end taken?
There is a chance. I'm not going to say it's impossible here. I think this is pretty correctly priced, though. I do think there is around, we'll call it a 15 to 20% chance he gets drafted as the first tight end, and that puts you right around that 5-1 mark if you do believe that he's going to happen. I don't want to bet Tyler Warren at minus 800, but I don't think I'm getting a big enough plus price here on Loveland as well. I think this is one you kind of keep an eye on. You follow the buzz, specifically of the teams at the back half of the top 10, early part of that 10 through 15 range, who you think is going to take the tight end, and then try and figure out who they like. Because like you said, this is clearly a 2-horse race here. And the question is going to be, who do you like more? Because I think Loveland, very good tight end as well. Obviously, Tyler Warren was awesome, right? Yeah. But Loveland, very good. And so it's one of those situations where you may have a team just fall in love with Loveland over Warren. And if that's the case and no one's taking a tight end off the board, that's how you end up cashing this ticket.
Yeah, and it's like they kind of have different skill sets too. It's like I think you could find a team that might want one over the other. I don't know. Widely mocked is to the Colts, essentially, is the Colts taking a tight end here in this one and Warren being the dude to go there. But what if the Colts don't go tight end, and then it just becomes kind of who does the team like better? I don't know. I think, again, I'd bet the dog in that one too. And like we will lay big prices over the course of the draft. Don't get me wrong. Like that's going to happen. I think at this market, as we sit currently right this second, I would probably bet the dog there in that one. I'm not as 100% as I guess this market is trying to say that we are. What about offensive line? Because we're looking here at 2 different offensive linemen that are widely considered in Campbell and Mimbu to be the first 2 taken off the board. The price indicates as much. Mike, at minus 125 on Campbell, 105 there on Mimbu. Do you have any feeling whatsoever about which dude is going to go first?
Look, I think Campbell should be a bigger favorite. I think he should be around that minus 150, minus 175 number. We've all heard about the short arms with Will Campbell. Well, there were apparently 2 measurements. His arm's a little bit longer in one of those measurements than the other. He just feels like more of the pedigree guy. Now, I get Membu has that upside. He's a little bit more athletic than Will Campbell is. And you want to be taking a tackle if you are taking an offensive lineman high. And the worry with Campbell is because of the shorter arms, he ends up playing guard. He didn't have that much trouble in the SEC playing tackle, though, Matt. And the SEC has some of the best pass rushers in the country. So I think Will Campbell should be a slightly bigger favorite here. Another one where I'm close to putting the bet in at minus 125, but I don't have it in the account yet because I don't believe the edge is as big as I would like. And I don't have any real information. Like, the Pats are the first team that probably takes one. I think they do take Campbell if he's there. I think they try and trade down out of that spot because I do think the first offensive lineman most likely goes off the board in that 6, 7, 8 type range.
Yeah, it's like, for me, the way that I think the draft, the reason I think this offensive lineman thing could get funky is just because if the draft plays out like you and I are kind of hoping that it does with how we've bet it so far, then the Patriots are going to have a choice between either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And if that's the case, I can't imagine. I understand you need offensive line, but you're not passing on one of those two dudes if they're there, right? And so that's why I think it gets a little murky then at that point, because now then first offensive lineman probably then goes to the Jets at 7, and then who do the Jets like? So that I think we might be handicapping right now the wrong team as to which guy they like, because I know everyone's talking about, well, who do you think the Patriots like? We might be trying to figure out who the Jets like instead.
Mm-hmm. And you could also see the Patriots trade out of that pick and the Jets end up with the first one anyway. So there's a lot of different scenarios here where it's not the Patriots taking the first offensive lineman off the board.
We got runs getting scored all over Major League Baseball. We'll update you when we come back. And Noops Christensen on all things NBA.